This is a very difficult task that I have. So you all have to bear with me. Elwood and I had a 38-year relationship. I added it up, and you know, some people you're friends with and you have breaks. But it was 38 continuous years. We talked a lot. We talked a lot. But we didn't talk about this. I talked to Elwood about 6-7 days before that accident. And we talked about everything. But we didn't talk about this day. But the day is here. I asked some friends of mine, most of my friends are preachers, I said, well, what's the difference between a eulogy and a homily? Because I'm Baptist. In our tradition, the eulogy morphs into a sermon. And so, since I have the honor, I'm going to take pastoral privilege. Those of you who are non-Baptist, places in here, you need to say amen.
Work it out.
So y'all want to practice? Somebody say amen.
Amen.
And if I get a little loud there, you just tell them, you know, I'm freelancing. A lot of great things have been said about Elwood, and all of them are true. You know, as a pastor, July makes 33 years in ministry. Sometimes you struggle to say the truth at funerals. All right, preachers, y'all need to say amen.
Okay.
Thank God with Elwood Ellis, we don't have to struggle to tell the truth. Before we make a saint out of Elwood, remember, he was a man with clay feet just like the rest of us.
That's right. That's right.
He had his faults and his frailties, and he had his spots and his wrinkles. But as quiet as it's kept, most of us do too.
Shut up.
The most consistent thing about all of us is that we're inconsistent. I tried to find a passage of Jonathan that kind of captures for me in this moment, Elwood Ellis. And I know we just had a bunch of scriptures read to us. I just want to add one more to it. From 2 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, in verse 1, where Paul, the tent maker from Tarsus, captured these words, penned them. A church that he had a whole lot of problems with. Church folk can be problematic. Well. It's his most gifted church, but it's also a church that caused him a lot of pain. Paul says in verse 1 of chapter 3, 2 Corinthians, 2nd letter, do we begin to commend ourselves, or do we need, as some others, epistles or letters of commendation to you, or letters of commendation from you? You are our epistle or letter written in our hearts, known and read by all men. Clearly you are an epistle of Christ, ministered by us, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of flesh, that is, of the heart. This is a great book that I'd like to commend to the preachers here. Preachers are always looking for sermon ideas, and they're everywhere. And you know, Albert Ellis was a great preacher. When we were in college, we didn't think he preached bad sermons at all. We really didn't. Dr. Charles Hart, one of the esteemed pastors there, when Elwood was leaving the Norfolk area, I remember him saying to me, Elwood had more disciples than Jesus.
Wow.
But there is a book entitled Live Sent, S-E-N-T, Live Sent, where the author, Jason Dukes, says about us, he says, you are a letter, an email, a message. Your everyday life is more than just a story being written. Your very life is a letter. You were created to receive and send a message intentionally into the lives of people you do life with daily. And that captures for me Elwood Ellis. I knew Elwood when we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have email, we didn't have Sirius radio. I knew Elwood when first time I came up here with him, you know, Elwood was always in a hurry. And some of us would remember that car that he had, that big blue car. Elwood would be driving with you. This was back before you had to wear a seatbelt. And he was such a conversationalist that when he talked, you know, Elwood might turn around and
Wow.
But one Friday he said, Earl, do you want to go with me up to New York to get to meet Tom Skinner? And Tom Skinner was one of my heroes. I said, sure, let's go. So you have to remember we had to get on 13, drive through Eastern Shore, Virginia, Eastern Shore, Maryland, Delaware, and then hit New Jersey. And I'd never been to New York before. And in those days, we didn't have cell phones, so in order for Elwood to let folks know where he was, we had to find a stop, find a phone booth. How many of you remember the phone booth? And, make the call. But you know, with Elwood, Elwood could talk.
Yes.
And so 6 hours seemed like...
Wow.
Elwood, for me, embodied the title of that book, Live Sent. He was a sent man. He was sent, as Jesus said, as the Father sent me, so I am sending you. And Elwood Ellis was sent from God.
Amen. Amen.
And he was a letter. He was a letter. He was an email. I thought about this. I said, could Elwood be a tweet? Could he be? You only have 140. No. He couldn't be a tweet.
No.
But he is a letter.
Amen.
A letter. He was and he is. It's hard for me to even use past tense as it relates to Elwood. But I was in the Army for 22 years, and in the Army, I was a chaplain for 22 wonderful years in the Army. And before the emails and text messaging, we got letters. And I was in Korea in 1986, and I would get letters from home and get letters from my wife of almost 29 years. We were newlyweds, and so every letter meant something. You know, she might spray some obsession. And for soldiers, mail call.